Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Good morning. All right, well, there is significantly less liquidity here. Where are our new ones? Let's just minimize these. Oh, no, where are they? Oh, there's that one. The E-mini needs to stay up. The 12 one, yes. Boom, bada boom. So we're kind of still stuck between them, and the liquidity is not quite moved over, although it's getting close. Definitely by tomorrow, I think they will have done it. Let's update this chart. Reload historical data. Anyways, let's look at what happened. So they really liked what Mr. Powell said in his statement yesterday. There was quite a big change in the spreads. So you can see here in ZB, here was his statement, and it went below, and then it came back, but they didn't even actually break the overnight high, not until this morning when the Europeans started trading. But here in ZN, they clearly, they went zoop, clearly over it. And then even more pronounced in the 5-year. And you can see down here in the spreads, excuse me, wow. You can see in the spreads, it's very much steepened. So my preference is buying 10 years for sure. This is kind of a hard call because if we come out and look at a larger time frame, you know, we got a little bit of room to move up to here to like 120.090. And then to there, but I don't know if they're actually going to make it that far. I mean, we've come back a long ways anyway. And I don't know if the market thinks this is fairly valued or not. So, and this is going to be a pure place where I think we're going to see a lot of trades. So I'm going to be preferring kind of more smaller moves, a little zigzagginess, but mostly up, I think is the way that I want to play it. I'm going to be cautious because we're cautious about what kind of a signal I take, because you are going to get a lot of you know, rollover nonsense, trickiness. So, yeah, that's where we're at. I'm feeling a little bit better today. My nose is not like running like hardcore, at least, but my ears are a little plugged up, so it needs to drain. And I hope that if it drains, after it drains, that I'll feel really good. But right now, this ear is like really clogged up and it hurts. Okay, so December versus March, it still looks like, especially in ZB, that they're still trading December. Bitcoin is having a little bit of a topping action here. They may go for another run down. That's interesting. You know what? We should get the links. Okay, we don't need that. We don't need that. We don't need that. We don't need that. Here's the Twitch. Good morning, Twitch. Oh, nobody on Twitch yet. There's Twitch. We'll get at least somebody here soon, I'm sure. And here's YouTube. Good morning. Move that over here. That. Something that bothers me about like the dashboard is that it automatically plays. And like, I don't want it to play. That's bandwidth, guys. Streaming it and then downloading it back over like that doesn't make any sense at all. Okay. Well, the other thing that I'm noticing is that we're like right at the VWAP, and this is like a VWAP bounce. Okay, so we do have some news coming up today because it's Thursday. Oh, can you not do that? I thought that okay, let me fix it. Degenerate gambler. Oh, I know what I gotta do. Am I gonna trade live? I don't know if I'm gonna make trades today or not. What is the news again? So that was what we were doing before I got distracted. I know there's always okay, so we got personal spending. So probably.
0.6% for consumption adjusted. Personal income 0.5%. Core PC on the month up 0.1. Year-over-year 1.8% from revised 1.9. Initial job list at 234,224 last week. Continuing claims at 1.71 million from 1.66 million previously. We saw the 4-week average at 223,250. You've got average earnings out of personal income then up 0.5%, personal consumption adjusted up 0.6 from revised 0.2 after 0.4. Core PCE then comes in up 0.1%, softer than the 0.2 predicted. On the year over year, 1.8 is also softer than the 1.9, especially the 1.9 previous revised down from 2%. Real consumption is seen up 0.4%, 1 revised from 0.3.
I'm gonna wait this one out a little bit. Okay. So that was positive. I think I want to take it over here if I... Yeah, that might be too late. Might be too late, guys. I think I want to take it over here. I forgot that this is the old one and this is the new one. Hmm. Let's just do the rollover bit. Cool. Fixes that for reserve. Didn't have the roll in the right spot in the hierarchy. Actually, I think we want it to be. There we go. Okay, so I think I did the right thing. Oh man. So close to a fill, and there was that buy spike and everything. There's an iceberg there that they might continue through. Uh, I really don't want to buy that, like the top of the breakout though. To an 8K iceberg too. Uh, there's clearly more liquidity on this side. I think we can just close the this other back month. I know that I had a good spot in line, but I don't want to. I don't want to go short and take one tick and yeah. Yeah, look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin is getting wild. Getting wild, guys. I might. Yeah, I'm not sure. So I wouldn't. I'm not super great. Just remember that, right? I don't do this because I'm great, and I think everybody should shadow my traits. Remember that. I'm still learning.
Got some US news here. Farm bill apparently reached in principle, says the House and Senate leaders, culturally.
Okay. Well, that got filled a little bit too easy. So, okay, that is a little bit more like what I wanted. Oh, he got short CB before the news. That's not. No, no. Okay. I like that. I mean, it's enough to make me want to be in. Um, Now I'm wondering. We need to see market buyers at 16, of course. Let's just reset this. Okay, so now the 15 is pulling. So it's not a good sign. It's not a disaster though, right? 14 and a half is kind of more. I don't like that. 15. That's the VWAP. Okay. Oh, so you did go short, huh? Did you go short at the 17? I think if you had gone short and you got out at 15, that you took the right trade, man. Okay. So something going on here in the 5 year. It seems to me that the buyer is pushing back really hard here in the 5 year. But the ZB doesn't look as positive. Yeah, Alex got a good point there too. The ZN went down more. I don't know if it went down more, but they definitely.
See, we did see US 10-year yields drop below 3%.
Yeah. There is still a little bit of liquidity below us in the 5 year, so yeah, I gotta see we gotta see them stack some liquidity at 0.00 a quarter. Okay.
Again, last contingent. DAX Bayer is a strengthening core life science business while significant productivity and profitability. Tends to exit animal health business. That's Bayer. Is exiting animal health business, assessing available options. Bayer says it drive profitability growth in its core consumer health categories. Core EPS target at €6.80 for 2015. Target's adjusted EBITDA margin over 30% by 2020.
Why do I always make that freaking mistake? Okay, like that. It does it. Ooh, that's a big iceberg there at 14.
Helping the DAX higher here now, up some near 4%, following an announcement of exiting the animal health business.
This one right here should be the new one. Or not the new one, the December. There we go. That's a little better. It's just kind of the same mistake that I've been making in it. See the spot? It goes through me. This time it happened to be 3 ticks instead of 2. And then it's like, okay, so then there's another spot, and then you don't know if that one holds or not. And if it holds, then it could be a great trade. And if it doesn't, then you just get stopped out. A little bit of a mixed signal here, too. That's a little bit concerning.
So we're looking at some 12,000 job cuts out of Bayer as part of this efficiency drive.
Okay. I wonder if they trade back into this if there's an iceberg here. Okay. There it is right there at 15. Well, I feel silly, don't I? But you don't want to mess with that thing when they're absorbing right above the level and everything. Like that's dangerous. You don't want to mess with that. Man, that tick down easy. Uh, uh, trade the traders. You are a fucking idiot. Like seriously, have you ever read my Patreon? You ever looked at it? I have said literally every fucking day for the past year that Bitcoin was going to fall below 6,000. And you're sitting here running around like, oh, see, I was right. And I was like, okay. I don't think, number one, you even understand what my prediction was. And second of all, I don't know if you made any money on it. But not only did I say that it was going to go down, but I'm able to tell you like the time frame, the prices, so on, so forth. So like, you're just like, you're just trolling. You're a fucking idiot. So you know what? It's YouTube, so I'm okay if people want to say shit on YouTube. But you're a fucking idiot. Anyways, I did take that one. Like I'm looking at it right now. The thing that I'm finding really frustrating is that I see the liquidity hold it, and then it kind of disappears on me. And like like I see here in ZF, it kind of seems to me like ZF doesn't have any interest in going lower. But that that spot that I bought was just kind of like a little FOMO momentum move, and I got caught up in it. See, it's kind of like that. Like people are buying it.
I just know British Telecom coming to market with a dollar-denominated 5-year,
Hmm.
10-year debt.
So they are hitting into 14 and a half, but it's not. I don't really see it changing the liquidity either. Now that 14 is weak again. But there is, they are leaving behind this liquidity at 13 and a half, which is kind of, and something you'll always see when we form a pivot. Doesn't mean that it is a pivot, but it's kind of part of the thing that starts to form it. You have all those orders at the bottom that want to get, that are just sitting there. Mm.
Item number 10 has put response to coverage of a dear love letter done basically regarding some of the claims that number 10 and the government think are incorrect as to what Brexit means for the country. I've reposted it and I'll put forward as well. I've been retweeted.
You can get more Brexit nonsense. I was thinking about it the other day, um, because Powell came out and he said his comment, and to me, it wasn't that, like, everybody's like, "Oh, the Fed blinked," but to me, it wasn't like that big of a change from the Fed, and bonds have already been moving up, and we did kind of move up, but like during the regular session, it didn't move that much. It was a much bigger move overnight, which is kind of weird to me if it was all based on the Powell thing. But um, we've always been saying, well, the economy can handle tariffs, but it can't handle tariffs and high interest rates. I think that Brexit has a lot to do with this whole, you know, market weirdness. I don't want to say weirdness, but like the negativity. I think Brexit is a big part of it. Big part of it. Well, it kind of died down here, didn't it? It's just trade the traders. Uh, I kind of want to buy this. Uh, yeah, I need to look into the YouTube chat. When that guy killed 86 people in Nice, France, and the Charlie Hebdo thing, that changed the tone in Europe for a long time. Yeah, man, that's a really insightful. You have a good point. I never really thought. I kind of almost forgot about that, to be honest. And it's kind of weird to me that that happened, and they still do some of the things that they do in Europe. You know what I mean? Like I really thought that at some point you have to sit down and realize that you're dealing with a force that cannot be reasoned with, you know? Well, this is kind of interesting because it looks like we're in a three take range, but the truth is that we're really just um, putting offers at 14 and then buying them up, and putting offers at 14 and buying them up. Let's see, there's never more than like 1,000 put on there, and then they eventually one of the robots picks it up. Okay, so one thing I should be noting is that the liquidity at 13.5 is stacking and pulling. Let's see, they're not. Well, they're not really putting a whole lot on either side of this. There was an iceberg in the 5 year. Look at that. You got filled in 19, huh? So what at what point do they say enough? That's what put me leaning alongside. He sees it the same way I do. I don't understand. lack of interest taking it down. Yeah. Um. hmm, I don't know. I mean, I think it's a buy. I clearly they're they're playing the games with me, and I'm falling for them again, aren't I? It was like they bought it up. It seemed like they had support. I buy it, and then all of a sudden those orders just pull, and we're back to 14. And ZV just sits here and does nothing. Reserve took 19. That looks like a really good price. Okay, so they just traded through a reasonable enough iceberg that we could maybe have some more. And there's no stacking. There's no change in the liquidity yet. They are posting it and holding it when they trade through. Like, so if they tick up, like you'll see 500 on the bid, but you'll see that like 500 sold into it and held, and then they push it down, which is a little different from robots just scratching it. Maybe it may be an indication that people are absorbing contracts long. That's what I'm thinking. Why don't you trade the front month? Well, I'm trading March now. I had December up, but after the news, I could see a clear change in the liquidity that the March contract started to have more liquidity, so that's why I moved over. Are they thicker on December now? I was just looking at when we were back up at 17 that we have like 39, 38 and in December they had 35. Their the roll has been really slow this time, hasn't it? So I don't know if it really matters per se. When I was looking at it, they were saying the same thing, you know. That's why I closed it down. I closed down the other workspace that had those ones in it because it didn't seem like it was telling me anything. It was just cluttering up the screen. The default ZB on Thinkorswim is now H19. Yeah, and my Ninja Trader hit the day where it tells you to roll over. So good. Bye. Good riddance. Uh,
Italy's Conte to address Parliament on December the 12th on EU summit. To the answer. That's Conte to address Parliament December 12th on EU summit.
Okay, so that time ZF actually ticked down. Man. Hmm. They are stacking more at 14, though.
Italy's trio to meet Moscovici at G20 summit today. So just to repeat that, Italy's economic trio is Moscovici at G20 summit today. Specific time, but
Okay, they actually added a little bit there. So for a while there was like nothing. There was like, I think it said 2,800 at 13. Now it's changed, but that was weird. That's unusual. Offer side iceberg at 14. Okay, now 13.5 is holding that 5. Well, it's kind of coming on and off. This one is interesting because it looks like the 10-year is the one that's pushing. I am long, full disclosure. Maybe. Okay. So they traded into 13.5, and that was all that 5K was all there.
of course keeping an eye on all this Cohen Miller stuff. Getting more going to please statements in to a.
Oh, what's going on? How long has that 095 been there for? It's been there as long as we can see. I was just watching this
Equity needs a little bit more
3/4.
via the Handelsblatt on this bank probe till 2018. That's related to a Panama Papers laundering probe.
Um,
Frankfurt raided by police this morning.
anyways, I was looking at 007 here in the 5-year, and it was 47, and it changed to 2042. It went from 47 to 42. I was like, okay, maybe that one seems like interesting, and then it pulled. As soon as I noticed that one had been there for a little bit, but I'm kind of more interested in this 095 now. That's been sitting there as long as we can see, so I'm wondering if they're going to want to push us down to there. Mm. Okay.
Block by.
Wow. They ticked up, and that is like a lot more positive. Yeah. What the hell?
More on the Deutsche Story. Handelsblatt saying prosecutors to resume banks on Friday.
Goodbye. Full stop on that one. What just happened there was, ugh. What the heck? No, we're simulated right now. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to figure out strategies to trade multiple lots. Is what I'm practicing right now. Because I felt like I was doing pretty good with the one lot thing, and I was kind of figuring out the seasonality. And by the way, now is not a good time for me seasonally. Look at that. Look at that. I like that. We could maybe just hold this. Anyways, but I just don't have enough right now to put into it because of this stupid yard thing. So that's why I said, well, okay, we need to keep like progressing. So let's look at things that we can do with one contract. So what I want to do here is take one tick, because I think I can get filled in with 13.5 again. I think. Yeah. Are you more of a trend follower or a fade trader? Well, I'm more of a trend follower, but I have found that you can't survive on just one of them. So I switch between the two based on what's going on. So you can see that today I am kind of more fading, aren't I? The thing that sucks is that I tried to. I thought that I was in a safe enough zone that I could, um, you know, moved up a tick, and I could buy when I could stop into it and still have it go through me, and it didn't do that. So that says to me that today is actually quite range bound. Stocks is good for a trend following strategy. Yeah, but the economics of stocks don't really make sense for scalping for me. I do own some stocks, but I've done pretty good on the stocks too, actually. Well, I take that back. I was doing really good on the stocks until this recent downturn, and I had Goldman, so that was really, really awful. Personally, just traded short around the high of the day and buying around the low of the day on the treasury market 90% of the time. It just goes to the bottom and then the top. Yeah. Well, it's treasuries are kind of interesting, right? Because um, I've heard a lot of people say treasuries are really range bound, but
It is Demayo saying the budget
hold on.
issue is not decimal points.
My own experience says that that's not really accurate, because you get really, really strong trends in treasuries.
Dialogue with the EU on the budget.
Like once they get that thing rolling, it's just a freight train, and it just does not stop. And you really, really don't want to stand in front of the train in treasuries, right? But on the other hand, you get this thing where it doesn't go anywhere, and it'll come down, and then it'll, sit here and do nothing, and then it'll zag up to the other side, and then it'll do nothing. So it's really both to a certain extent. It's extremely efficient is I think the most accurate way of looking at it. It's extremely efficient. So other instruments, they'll establish a range and just zigzag back and forth across that range forever, and it's really clear. And it's not efficient because there's just not enough liquidity, or not. I don't want to say liquidity, but there's not enough locals trading that to.
Cohen has a cooperation deal with the special counsel.
We've known that for a long time, haven't we? I don't see why is that any different. Anyways, and that spread doesn't really narrow because that instrument just isn't as efficient. Treasuries has the most interest out of anything, and so it's highly efficient. So it's kind of like, if you see a range and you think that there's a clear range that I can scalp back and forth across here, because it's so efficient, there's a pretty good chance that it's not actually the case. That you're either not going to get filled, or it's not actually what you think it is. And like what's happening to me right now. I saw the range and I said, well, I think that if I could get back in at 13.5. So that was true. I could get back in at 13.5, but they're not filling me at 14. Yeah, if rates get too high or low over a short run, it will move. Bonds is a good place to watch. So the other thing is that I found that there are just certain times where it really moves, certain times of year where it really moves, and certain times of year where it doesn't really move. At the beginning of the year, I found it moves.
With the budget.
The beginning of the year, it moves, and you can.
Will find
Oh, here's the E-mini open. At the
On the wise, nexus between sovereign and bank risks has not diminished. Recent events in some member states make it.
Is he going to go again? Come on. No, at the beginning of the year, that's like all of the funds come out and make their moves, and treasuries just move, and it's like if you see a spot where they're doing like a level break kind of a setup, they pull it every time, and you can make. And I did really really well at the beginning of the year, but then you get into the midpoint of the year, and then it becomes range bound. Or, if the equity markets are doing something crazy, then you tend to get these big moves. Although I wouldn't say over the past month that it's really been trending, has it? They kind of have a little move up and then they come back, and it's actually been somewhat range bound. And the thing that's been hard the past little while is, it's going to make a move and then it's going to revert back, but they're not. It's really hard for me to tell which direction they're going to do it. Okay, so they traded down into that, even though they had some liquidity at 12.5, and the E-mini is testing some highs here, but there's a bubble. So even though we had all of that action in treasuries, around 13.5, the E-mini appears to be more influential on price right now, which is not indicative of a trend. Unless, like, the E-mini just all of a sudden dumps 100 points. So, I don't know. This is a market that I have a hard time trading. So I love how when we have a day when people come in and troll me and I yell at them, that we get tons of viewers. So is that what you guys like to see? Is you like to see me yell at people? I don't understand. Are they still long here in the Discord? So range is possible. So it seems like sellers are fighting this move up really hard. This in the E-mini. So there was an 800, there was a 1,000. When you look at the amount of delta,
risks of banking progress despite MPL.
When you look at the amount of volume that it took to move up what was essentially 2 points, that is more than it normally takes. So it really feels like sellers are fighting it in the E-mini. Okay, and then they ticked up and they absorbed some there.
Comments now from the Italian PM Conte must keep public accounts in order.
Okay. I guess not. Okay, so that was an interesting. I mean, I kind of suspected that that was going to happen once we started getting some momentum, but I still kind of wanted to try it and see. I got the one, and I thought I could still get filled on the backside, and it's not. It's not getting filled. So I just bought back in. We'll see what happens. Mm.
From Conte saying the yield spread is still high. We're working to overcome the situation.
Okay, so Lobby says, when I trade ZB, I like trading with 2 contracts, taking 4 ticks on my first contract and holding my second contract to catch the sometimes 8 to 10 tick move. Do you try sometimes this type of strat too? Yes. But although for me, it's more like on ZN, I take like +3 on 1, +2 or +3 on the one. And then the other one, I just let it go until I see the spot. Or, like I think I'm gonna, if this keeps going, because I have 2 right now, right?
Or imagine only the EU banking rule is inadequate as for banking efficient currently being finalized to solve problems.
If this keeps going, it depends on the E-mini, doesn't it? But if this keeps going, I will, and I see absorption on the offer, like a 10K shows up on the offer, then I will take the first one off there. And then I'm going to put the second one in like 2 to see if it goes through that area. Because that's what it's kind of been doing. Oh, hey. Well, I kind of like to... Okay. Nice. It feels more comfortable trading like that because with the profit taking of the first contract, even if the trade goes wrong, your loss is covered by your game. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But that's why in ZB moves a lot more though, right? So I feel like we are kind of talking about the same thing. But I don't know. There's kind of this thing where it's like, okay, you want to take a profit because you don't know if it's going to bounce off of this area or if it's going to go through. And so you want to take some of your profit there, but you also want to give it that opportunity to go through. But should you do the same thing on the other side when you get in?
The EU banking rule perhaps excessive rigid.
And I kind of think that the answer is probably not.
Block sell.
Jeez. Okay.
Block buy.
Are reporting now the Italian government may be seeking Parliament to vote on the Italian government. are the mini.
But there is big players on both sides of this that appear really adamant, don't they? Sit on your hands. Well, if you have something that says that you have an edge, then I think you should take it. Okay. Nope. Man, this is crazy today, isn't it? ZB did touch 16. I don't know. I really thought that this one contract here at 14 was going to get filled, and it didn't.
More from Conti that we need to hit on.
So that was a good sell there. Not that they're stacking, but the E-mini kind of looks a little questionable at the moment. There's a real meat grinder over there in the E-mini. What are the equity traders saying today? Yeah, ES did bring out some new highs. Well, was it a new high? I think that they equaled the high. See, here's the sell's going to come in and they're going to push to the other side of the range again.
Brexit news now. Picking up a tweet from Sam Coates and blueprint creations by Theresa Robin. About Britain too, unilaterally.
Okay. No. See, like they're ready for it.
Piece, we reproduce the termination clause with explicit mechanism motion. Cool.
It's like they get ready for it, but they're waiting for the E-mini to do the thing before they decide to do it. There you go. See, like that. But they're not buying into 140. I think we may have found a bug in the sim because I think that first contract would have gotten filled there. But it's not going to fill them until the second one. Probably. Should I pull it? Pull it. Okay. So I don't think those would have even filled, would they? Well, it would have been close, huh? Yeah, if you add more to a limit order, Jigsaw will move everything to the back of the queue, even if you were about to get filled on the other one. Yeah, I think that's the sim. Yeah, I think that's exactly what happens. I mean, that's what happened there because the first contract should have filled. Okay. Okay, so now E-mini looks like it's gonna break lows. Oh, they came awfully close there. It's unusual for them to get that close and then not do it, but it does happen. And I can see Delta coming down. Buyers might puke. Hmm. I like that push, but it's not. They're not sure what they want yet, do they? Are they?
Ten minutes nine, so we get the U.S. pending home sales for October. That's month on month. 5% expected against prior 0.5. Year-on-year figure minus 2.8% expected against a prior of minus 3.4%.
Well, I think I want to reduce my risk a little bit. Okay. What was that last one? I'm already confused. I need a different window. At least. Let me see. This one right here. It was 140. Hmm. So, so I feel like I I've done what I wanted to do, which was push my theoretical average down below the bottom of the range. It's not below the bottom of the range, but it's it's getting there. But it's still just like I'm not sure if it's going to go or not. It sure feels like that we have reversed, but especially when you look at the 5 year. The 5 year really looks like excuse me. It's a little hard for me to say, like, have I been really good at knowing where I will get filled and where I won't? And I mean, they have filled, but I really don't like sitting and waiting forever to get them, you know? Oh, it filled. It filled. Okay. Hmm. Problem you've got here in the E-mini is they are at a significant resistance point. I'm not saying that it's not going to go through it, but it's going to be hard. And it must be why the sellers seem to be pushing against it so hard. ZB struggles to go higher even when ES is falling. Yeah, how far did ZB go?
US pending home sales for October again, that's month to month, expected to be unchanged at 0.5%, while the year-on-year figure minus 2% expected.
The range in ZB is a little low. I can't agree with that. Though it still kind of looks to me like ZN is a little bit higher now. And they're a little bit more positive that there's kind of an impetus or like they're kind of looking at a chance now that they're going to come back above the VWAP and make a move. Yeah, it has been in this area for a long time. More than an hour. It's been down in this range for almost the whole session. See, this is where I start to like get conspiratorial. It's like someone's stream sniping me. They know, okay, Seth went long. We tried to screw him over, and he still wants to buy it. So, and we can't really sell it anymore because the market won't allow that. So we're just gonna keep it here until he stops trading at around 8:30 his time, and then we'll move it. You watch. When I leave, it's gonna go. It'll probably go up because that's the way that I wanted it to go. Because they want to maximize the amount of like me feeling like I missed out. That's what tends to happen. You'll get the move, but it doesn't happen until I'm gone. Every time I think the same. Hey, look, it got filled. Okay. So now my theoretical average is down at the bottom. Immediately the market goes up to the infinite. Right. Well, so I know what actually causes it, because it really, for a long time, it really was like, what the fuck? Seriously, guys, why does this always happen? Well, the reason it happens to me is that hold on. There's a new
percent for month to month, minus 4.6% year on year. So it's US pending home sales month to month, minus 2.6%, revised of 7%. Year on year figure of minus 4.6% to par revised of 3.3%.
Now you know why so many traders killed themselves. So anyways, what happens is the close of European trade is like at 9:30 my time. And so what's happening is I'm seeing the nothingness before the London traders close their trades. And that's why the trade that I'm looking for always ends up happening like after 9 o'clock. Because I had a while, there was a period at the beginning of it was around February, April, where I was working from home because the office got flooded. And I did really good during that period because I could keep a trade open until 9:30, and I made some really good trades during that time. It was like, for some reason, I'm able to read that one. It's a Not only am I able to read it better, but it's also just a higher probability trade. Like you can see, okay, there's some London traders and they're long, and they they need to they need to get out, and it closes it. And if you're good at watching the order flow, you can tell exactly what it's going to do. I'm told that there's really good trades like that at the end of the day in the E-mini too. But I think that would be a lot of work. You'd have to watch it for a really long time and through a really boring area until you get to the last hour and then take a trade. Man, that thing 122 at 14. Hmm. No. I mean, they're not going to fill me if they can just go back and forth at 14.5, right? Then it's like, well, if you want to buy 2 contracts, why don't you just buy in at 14.5 again? But that would be adding to my risk. I don't want to do that. If I do it down here, I'm still like in a good place risk-wise, I think. Because we could still go back to like 13.5. There you go. This does look up, though. It does look up, to me at least. And the E-mini is finally starting to fall. And they just took out that big order. You have to have a nerve of steel and balls. Yeah. I don't know if I completely agree with that, to be honest. You could just be really stupid. Right? Or just incredibly stubborn like me. I think that's my problem. I think I'm just maybe a little too stubborn to be a super great trader. But you know, stubborn also means that I can persevere through it and figure it out one way or another. my
From Handelsblatt now reporting that 20 of the 27 EU states are open to a digital tax company.
I feel like that my ability to learn things and like absorb a lot of data and figure out what's important is kind of one of the things that I have an edge on and makes me interested in trading and okay at trading. But I think when it comes down to the kind of the patient mentality and the ability to read what other people are thinking and figuring out what outcome is going to happen, which side is going to win and stuff, I'm probably like one of the worst people for for it. Mm. I would really like this order to fill. Come on. 22 more. One more. Lobby Thorn. Exact same problem. Yeah. I don't know. Hey, that got filled. Okay. Okay, so where does that put me?
Canada has 17 Saudis.
The best trader I've ever met is autist people. Okay, that's interesting. So here's the thing I've always found makes good traders. Like all the people that I've met that are really good traders talk really slowly. Have you ever noticed that? I really like John Grady, right? That was kind of where I took my trading method from, was John Grady. He is not a fast talker. In fact, like when I watched his videos, like I would listen to it at like times two speed. Never seeing Serraro, best trader on the S&P, was a diagnostic autistic. That's interesting. See, like I find it interesting how people react to empathy, because I feel like because I'm ADHD, right? And um, I've I've learned actually that ADHD people tend to be attracted to trading, and I think it's because of the dopamine rush that you get when you make money, you know. And so I'm on this medication called Strattera, which is kind of like a it gives you more. Hey Gabe, how is it going? I think we're doing okay. I mean, I'd like this to get moving a bit more, but we're doing okay. Um, I mean, I had a bad trade though, so like to Brazil, bro. Anyways, it kind of, what it does is there's the, oh, hold on, just grabbing something. You get the chemicals in between your nerve clefts, and if you have more of those chemicals, then that nerve becomes more sensitive. It takes less of an impulse to make it happen. And what happens in ADHD people is that there's not enough of that chemical for certain nerves in your, like the front part of your brain, where you kind of process and like plan things, and self-control and stuff like that. And so this kind of, and what happens is your body sucks up too much of that chemical. So what it does is it blocks up the vacuum so that it doesn't suck up so much of that chemical. But the problem is that that part of the brain will also like regulate the emotional center of your brain. So if it's it makes this part work well, but it kind of suppresses this part where the emotional processing works. And so I feel like since I've been on the Strattera, so like as an example, when I first got on Strattera, I was dating a lot at the time. And before, when I was not on the Strattera, I went out with a lot of girls, and it was almost always a second date. And I liked everybody that I met, and it was just, people came and went as it was convenient for them, and I was okay with that, and like I enjoyed the whole process. And after I took it, I was like not as good at it. It was like I didn't find as many people that I liked, didn't go on as many second dates. The only one that really like caught my interest was my wife that I'm married. And I've even noticed since then, like when I look at politics, it used to be I would be like, okay, kind of understand why Democrats would feel this way, and what they're thinking, and what is something that I could say that would kind of reflect the way that they're feeling, but also help them see the logical error in how they're feeling. And
only improvement in a banking system, clean up was capital build.
And it was kind of like the Obama thing. Like when something happens, Obama will tweet about it, and everybody really likes what Obama tweeted about it, even if what he said was wrong. And I felt like I was able to do that a lot on Facebook. And now I feel like that I don't have that ability as much anymore. I'm always just like, why are people so fucking stupid? Like, hello, you can't just let anybody into the country with the way that the country is set up right now, because all of South America would move here, and then you wouldn't have a successful country anymore because it would be way too burdened by all of the people moving in, you know, these sorts of things. And like from that perspective, though, it's like it's not a very empathetic thing to say, is it? It's really it's the exact opposite. It's I know that there are people out there that would really like to move to America, and that where they live is really sucky and everything, but I just don't care, because the logical thing is that if you let them in and you let the emotions rule everything, that it's going to be bad for everybody in the long run, even those people that come in here. It's not empathetic, right? So then bringing it back to trading, it's like that empathy is like what allows you to read how other traders might feel about the most recent price movements. Like, are they sweating it, or you know, what are they frustrated? They gonna keep it on, that sort of a thing, you know? And so I feel like it's worth doing for the trading, because self-control is the first thing. 100%. Like, self-control is going to be the thing that ruins you every time. Is, oh, I train is leaving, I got to get in here, and you don't think, oh yeah, but there is kind of some resistance here, and there's too much risk to buy it here, and this just isn't a good trade for me. You know, that's more important. So it's kind of like you get one thing that's important, but then you kind of lose something that's still important, but not quite as important. You know what I mean? So an autistic person, my understanding is that they don't have a whole lot of empathy, right? And yet they're good traders. But they're also really good with numbers, so that might make a difference. You know? Like, that was a long rant. You know, like if it's sitting here at a price and I see it go back and forth, clearly there's an equal number of buyers and sellers in aggregate, because there has to be a buy for every sell, obviously. But, you know, like, which side is more aggressive, which side is going to win, that sort of a thing. They split it up. They don't do it all at once, so that you can't really tell. And if you were autistic and you had a really great memory and you could read the numbers really fast and everything like that, I could see that being a huge advantage. Because I can't even think, like, how maybe I can do it programmatically to figure out, is the liquidity going to win, or is the market orders going to win? That's always the question. Well, we've established a good range here. You notice, like, they were ticking up there for a bit, but they didn't really seem that interested in breaking 15. And granted, the E-mini is like on the other side of its range at the moment. Okay, well, that's good. Come on. They all work together. It's not liquidity versus market orders. Okay, yeah, you have a point. I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, well, so like I think we have a good example here. There is a ton of liquidity at 12.5. So, and we've kind of established a range, and at the moment we're kind of at the top of the range. really, but I would say that the range is between 15 and 12.5, right? So which one is going to win? Is this 12.5 going to hold and we're going to push up and push through here? Or is this liquidity at 15.5 going to hold? You know? And it's kind of like you can see how much liquidity is there, but you don't know how many market orders are going to come through because they can come out of nowhere. And that's where like the one that I can really see. The trade that I'm good at is it's kind of slow, and then there's a tick up that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Like this would be like we've been trading through here, and then all of a sudden they bought up through 14, they stacked a ton there, we ticked up again, and they're absorbing there, and it's like they just will not let it tick down at all, you know. And that was the trend following one that I take. But then the market turns around and it starts messing with you. They do that and they stack a bunch so that everybody buys it, and then they immediately flip it on you. You know? And that one's just contextual. It's like, is it a slow day or is it a trend day? And I don't know. It's hard. There's this one specific situation that you can see really, really well, but you have to be contextual to know whether it's actually that situation or not. Yeah. But, I mean, you're right. You have to look at the liquidity and the market orders. Because what you really want to see is you want to see market orders buying into these very aggressively and liquidity below us on the bids stacking up behind it very aggressively. I'd say so far this is really good. It's a shame that this other order didn't get filled, though. The E-mini is unhappy. Maybe can help you make a liquidity algo. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the thing is I'm not even quite sure what I'm looking for in there. You know? That's one of the biggest mysteries to me. Is like, you form a 2-tick range in a zipper. Which way is it going to come out of it?
News and comments from the Mayor CFOs on off costs and structuring.
So I think so this is gonna be an iceberg. So this is exactly that spot that I was talking about. Like, okay, so if you get the absorption, you take the one off, but then it often goes through it for at least 2 ticks. This time it might just bounce off of it though. But anyways, like this one in ZF. So this is a great example here. Okay, here's a zipper, and then we came out of it down. How do you know?
This time we do have the weekly EIA NatGas storage change. Be a draw of 81, or a draw of 134 BCF, range of a draw of 105 to a draw of 60.
I've done so many studies to be like, okay, so if the cumulative delta through it is negative, then will it come out? It's not. It's not predictive. So there's something much more complex at work there. Something to say, okay, all of these ones are actually are actually just robots scratching trades, taking trades and scratching them. So those ones don't matter. But this one, because of how much was stacked or you know, that it didn't pull or how fast that, I don't know what the deal is, but some way to say, okay, this one actually was somebody really buying there, you know. I think that's what you got to do in a spot like that. But and I do feel like that overall I have that I probably could watch it discretionally and predict everyone and probably win more than 50% of the time. But I don't know if your risk reward would be right. That makes sense. You're talking about something that you get one tick out of. I wish that I had that filled down at 14, so that I would only have to take off one contract here, and maybe even try trading this right here. Well, at the moment, I'm a little concerned because this looks like somebody that's concerned that they're not going to get filled and is propping the market up to get more buys into it. Okay. So that one worked. It should have been more, but at least the scalping and the range thing worked, because we got our even though I was buying at like 13.5, 14, I was able to get my theoretical average below 12.5. It's just, you know, I played a little bit too clever, and so I only had one contract on the way up. But then on the split side, that can happen. Sometimes that's okay, because we still got, you know, we still got 8 ticks out of something that only moved 4 ticks. But this one at 15, I took it from like 15 to 13, I think. That was not right. I should have I should have taken one off, like at the -1 tick or something. So okay, so let's see what you guys are saying here. I'm cursed, someone watch me. I have FOMO syndrome on Bitcoin. I didn't buy at 3,700. Oh, so you're saying, I didn't buy at 3,700, and I'm worried that that's going to be the bottom, and that I'm going to miss the next bull run. So here's how I deal with FOMO. Okay. Let's pull this up. I kind of have it two ways. The first thing is that I always have to say, based on the current circumstances, how can I manage my risk? So let's just, I don't want to hear him, because he's probably gonna yap a bunch of times. Okay, so right here we're at 16. You know what, this chart isn't a very good one. Let's bring up the short-term chart, okay? Here's how I do it. Here's how I look at it. If we're at 16, that's 2 ticks from the high of the regular session. In order for me to buy it at 16, one, I have to think that it's going to be going all the way up to the regular session high, if not higher. And 2, I have to have a very high probability that it's going to happen. because in order to take that trade, I have to risk at least a 13.5, if not 12.5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ticks, 6 to 7 ticks, in order. That's like the amount of risks that you're potentially taking. I'm not saying that you can't say, if it gets below 15, then I'm going to get out and that's my risk. You can do that. But from like the daily perspective, the risk is unknown. Well, no, it's the risk is here. And the reward is unknowable, because we're rolling over things, and you're betting on it to going above 17. So now you kind of have all of these numbers and you don't really know where it's going to get to, right? So that's the first thing. So that's why you often find me counter trading, because what I'm really doing is I'm saying it looks like that the larger trend is still up and I've just caught a pullback and I'm trying to buy that pullback or whatever, right? But there's got to be some way of saying that I've reduced my risk enough that it gives me an edge on my trade. That's the first thing, right? And then the second thing is I think you have to have some way of saying that there's value, that the price that we have makes sense. Today in these, it's really hard, because when we look at a longer term, we have come up quite a ways from the lows of the year, and we have a little bit above us. And you have to say, okay, so if Powell believes that we are close to neutral, does that mean that treasuries are fairly valued here, or does that mean that they need to move up more? The traders yesterday must have thought that after they bought it that it was fairly valued, and then the European traders, they wanted to buy more, and so it turns out that it wasn't, that it was too low. And those traders, they know based on their business and their customers and stuff, what prices they can handle and what prices they can't. And so when it gets up to that price that it's like, hey, it can't handle this price from our calculation, then they sell it. Okay. So now let's do Bitcoin. And let's do that reading in Bitcoin. Okay. I haven't generated the charts yet, so let's do that. Move that so it doesn't block you. $97. Okay. So what is this? This is, I don't want it to fill up the whole screen. This is my chart of value. So when we look at price, actually maybe I do want it to be that big. So when I look at where our price is, we're pretty close to this peak right here. Pretty close to this peak and this. So from a price risk perspective, I'd have to say we're actually at not a bad spot, are we? And then from a probability perspective, I don't know where we are. Like is this the bottom? I'd have to say, ooh, there's just a big move up there in the E-mini. So I took profits in the right place, didn't I? What are they reacting to? Let's move this so we can see it. Wheat deck. I don't know. I'm seeing a lot of news stories come through. Trump says Michael Cohen is lying. What? I don't know what's going on with the Michael Cohen story. I have to read that when I get into work. Okay, anyways. But here's the thing. Okay, so from a price perspective, we're probably okay. From a probability perspective, I don't know. And in Bitcoin, it's always like hard to know unless there's like a really clear imbalance. Okay, but from a value perspective, and this is where I look at the transactions in the blockchain, the the use on the blockchain is not increasing. It's been constant through all of this, and that constant value is not enough to support the price that we had. That 6K was held up because that was what the miners could that was the best they could do, but is not enough to prop it up on its own because there's not enough people actually using it, and so that creates an imbalance. There's all these miners mining it that need to sell it so that they can continue to fund their operations, but there's nobody buying it because they need to use Bitcoin for transactions. There's just people buying it because they want to catch the next run. There's speculators, and why would more speculators come in here? Like, the price is not going to be attractive to them. Like, Bitcoin is toxic right now. There was this story. There was like a talking about the route, and you looked on Reddit and everybody was just trashing it, like all these stupid people that bought it, and everybody trying to look smart. So like, it's toxic right now. There's no momentum on the long side at all. So why should it go up here? So I'm not saying that I know for a fact that it's going to go lower. That could be the low. It could turn around. It can surprise 100%. But what I am saying is that the amount of risk that you're taking from a value perspective right now on Bitcoin is quite a bit. It's not as extreme as it was when people were buying at like 6K, but it's still quite a bit. And generally speaking, we tend to go until you get a really good value. And so if that's true and it holds to the pattern, you might be able to buy Bitcoin at around 2,000. So that's what I'm waiting for. But that's how I would do it. So those are those 2 or 3 things, right? You've got to have risk. You have to have reduced your risk. You have to have good probability, and value has to make sense. In ZN, the way that I do the value is like, if we had news, and the news was really bad, but treasuries are still moving down, like, that doesn't make sense with what just happened to me, and so I stay out because it contradicts value. When those 3 things are in confluence, that's when you have a good trade. So yeah, I hope that helps. But for those of you guys that are new, I have a Patreon page, and I post this chart every day on Patreon. And there's also some altcoin ones, which I'm not going to show you. But if you're a subscriber, which is $5 a month, then you get that chart every day. And if you're not a subscriber, you can come and you can see it 3 days later. Now, if you're really serious and you really believe in the indicator and you want to catch the bottom, you're going to want that subscription. You're going to want to know where it's at, because 3 days later is going to be too late, right? Just because of how it can move. So that's how we do it. And the reason that I sell it like that is because it shows that people have found value in it, that they're willing to pay for it every month for a year. We have a decent number of patrons, so I'm really thankful to all the people that do it. It helps. So I'm hoping that soon. I would really like to get to 30 patrons a month. We're at 25 right now. But if I can get up, I might be able to make some better charts. I might be able to like rent some web space and get some better charts for you guys. So yeah, so I'm gonna go and write those notes here right now. Let's just check here. Do we? Yes, that was the longest and best answer I ever liked. Something like, "Hey, thank you very much." Oh, you're from Holland. Oh, that's cool. Well, thank you for watching. So yeah, I'm going to go and post those notes. But I'm gonna leave the stream going so that we can catch as much, record as much order flow as we can. Okay, so I'm done posting that, and I can see that the E-mini did its thing and came back down to the lows. When it was back down there, oh, did that 14 trade? Was that? Yes, it was. Oh my gosh. Ah, if I had been trading and I had seen that, I might have bought that. Oh well. I mean, that was a perfect one, right? There's a signal. You got good risk. From a value perspective, we know that this is kind of the area where they seem to want to buy it, like on a longer term thing. Like, man, that would have been a good trade. I'm sad I missed that. Mm. Mm. Oh wow, thanks, Anthony. Thank you very much. You guys, well, yeah, I so appreciate it. I always say though, if you uh, the best way to help me or say thanks is to push the Patreon, because I feel like the Patreon isn't just like, oh, I want to make some money off of this indicator that I made. It's also, I feel like it's important information that the market should have, and I'm doing this in a way to try and get as many people to see it as possible, you know, so that we can, because the general idea is that eventually it will reduce volatility, but because there will be less volatility in it, it'll be more stable, and that will make it a better investment vehicle. So ultimately it will actually dramatically increase its value. So that's the trade. So if you want to help with that trade, just share the Patreon link. You know, I appreciate it. I'm just can't. I don't see. Okay. So what I'm reading is that Michael Cohen is saying that Trump had some Moscow real estate plans of some sort. Hmm. Is it there on Reddit and I just haven't seen it? Trump says he is close to doing something with China on trade. Okay. Okay. That seems like that's what caused it, but it's unclear what something is. So I can't say if it's a buy or a sell. And that whole thing came off and they went lower. So, man, it was a good run though. Man, it sucks that I missed it. It always happens after I'm done. I usually stop at 8:30, so. And I don't like taking notes and then seeing something and taking it, and kind of thought when I was back down there like, oh, I should be watching it to see, but then I said nope, because whatever. Oh, so Lobby actually got a good profit. Good for you, dude. Oh yeah, so another thing is, if you haven't checked out the Discord, check out the Discord, because the Discord is awesome. There's so many good traders over there, and all the stuff that we've posted in the econ and education channel, it really is like the best trading, the best hidden gem in the trading world on the internet. I think I really like our chat room, our Discord. What was I looking? Oh yeah, I wanted to see what is Reddit talking about here before I go. Bum, 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 bum. Collusion, blah, blah, blah. I don't know Putin. I have no deals in Russia, and the haters are going crazy. Yeah, Obama can make a deal with Iran, #1 in terror, no problem. That was 7th of February 2017. Okay. So did he have a real estate deal with Russia? I bet you it's going to be like the first one. Okay. Okay. Robert Mueller has reached a new tentative deal with Michael Cohen, who is expected to enter a guilty plea today in federal court in Manhattan for misstatements to Congress about his contacts with Russians during the 2016 campaign. Okay, so what did he lie about, though? Oh man, they had lots of stories there. Trump is still today denying it. No deals, no loans, no nothing. And Cohen says they were still talking about a real estate deal in Russia months after this. Well, yeah, but talking about it is a little bit different from it happening, right? Hmm. Okay. I don't know if that really moves the needle, though. I could be wrong. We're going to have to let this one develop a little bit. But my take is that this is kind of just like the story. Like, just because you wanted to make a real estate deal doesn't mean that you actually did or did anything illegal. It just means that maybe you would have if you could have, but they weren't interested anyways, right? So it doesn't really help your obstruction case if I don't know. It kind of sounds like a nothing burger, but we'll see. And we have known for quite some time that Cohen was cooperating with Mueller, right? So that doesn't really change things either. We're just kind of get details about what it is, so people have a reason to get excited. Okay. Well, thank you guys for watching. We had a lot of good chat today and a lot of people in the channel, so thank you very much. And yeah, so we will see you guys. Tomorrow's going to be weird, I think. The end of the week. Everybody should have rolled over by then, though. So we'll see, but tomorrow might be tricky. So we'll see.